You know, it seems like everyone's talking about Mr. Beast's new thing, Lunchly. I mean, you've sent over a bunch of articles about it, even some social media posts. So you obviously want like the full rundown on this whole thing, right?
Yeah, it's been blowing up online for sure.
You've come to the right place because today we're doing a deep dive on all things Lunchly. The hype, the
All right.
backlash, and what it all means for the influencer game these days. And to help us break it all down, we've got an expert who knows a thing or two about both the food industry and the world of online personalities. The perfect combo for this one, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It's a fascinating intersection for sure. You've got health trends colliding with, marketing brand loyalty, even how much we trust what we see online.
Okay, so let's unpack this Lunchly thing. I mean, we've all seen that healthier Lunchables angle. But you dug up some really interesting quotes from MrBeast himself. And it seems like it's actually a bit more nuanced than just that.
He's really leaning into the whole nutritional aspect, talking about lower calories, less sugar compared to those traditional Lunchables. He even highlights things like electrolytes and using real cheese, which feels like a subtle dig at the processed stuff you often find in those prepackaged lunches.
Smart marketing, right? Tap into parents who want healthier options for their kids, but also get people thinking about what's actually in those other products.
Yeah.
But this isn't just your typical product launch, is it? This whole thing is blown up. Everyone's got an opinion on it.
Exactly, and that's what makes this so interesting. This goes way beyond just a product launch. It really speaks to the intense scrutiny influencers face today, especially someone with a reach as massive as Mr. Beast.
Exactly. So let's talk about that backlash for a second. You flagged that comment from XQC, where he called Lunchly cancer. Obviously, a bit of hyperbole there. But do you think that points to like a deeper distrust of influencer products in general?
Yeah, I think it might. You sometimes get this sense that influencer ventures are more about making a quick buck off their fan base, rather than creating a truly innovative or high quality product.
Right.
And when it comes to food, especially food marketed toward kids, people are understandably very protective. They're going to be extra skeptical.
And it's not like this is Mr. Beast's first time dealing with controversy, right?
Well-
You made a note about that past lawsuit. We don't have to dig into old news or anything. But that lawsuit, even though it's separate from Lunchly, does kind of feed into this larger conversation about whether influencers prioritize profit over quality, which obviously can have a huge impact on whether people trust them.
Absolutely. And this pattern of skepticism towards influencer products isn't new. It's been building for a while now. And I think it makes the marketing around Lunchly, especially the health claims, even more crucial to examine.
Right, like are they actually walking the walk, or is this all just clever marketing?
I mean, some are genuinely great products,
Yeah.
driven by passion, filling a real gap in the market. Others, not so much.
Yeah, which makes that whole trust thing even more important. Speaking of trust, let's talk about that whole Creator Games drama. I mean, if those who might have missed it, Mr. Beast got accused of doing some shady editing during those games to make Logan Paul look better.
Yeah, that definitely got the internet talking.
To be fair to him, he did defend himself.
Hey.
So it's just standard YouTube stuff, part of keeping things entertaining. But you flag this as an important point in this whole conversation about authenticity online. Like, what makes this more than just some harmless editing fun?
Well, think about it. Viewers, especially younger ones, they form these really strong bonds with creators, almost like they know them personally. We actually call them parasocial relationships, essentially a one-sided relationship where the viewer invests a lot emotionally. And they see these influencers as relatable, as genuine, but when you start talking about editing, that crosses a line. Potentially misleading those viewers, it really makes you question where entertainment ends and manipulation begins.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It makes you wonder, is there a different standard for someone like Mr. Beast? I mean, his whole brand is built on these crazy, over-the-top stunts and challenges. So do people just expect a certain level of, creative editing because it's Mr. Beast?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? On the one hand, yeah, his audience expects that spectacle. It's part of the fun. On the other, if this whole editing thing makes even a few people question his authenticity, well, it could change how they see all of his content going forward. And suddenly we're right back to Lunchly, aren't we?
Oh, totally. It's all connected. If viewers already have doubts about how Mr. Beast edits his videos, are they going to be more likely to think, wait a minute, is Lunchly really as healthy as he's saying?
Right. It's like that saying, you can't unring a bell. Once that seed of doubt is planted, it's really hard to earn that trust back, even if you have a fantastic product. So it makes you wonder, what will it take for MrBeast to regain that trust, if he even lost any in the first place? We've seen some influencers just offer a quick apology without really changing anything, while others own up to their mistakes and actually put in the effort to make things right.
Yeah, for sure. It'll definitely be interesting to see how he handles this. But enough about trust and authenticity for a sec. You mentioned earlier that influencer products have a pretty mixed track record. What are some examples of products that went through that whole redemption arc? You know, the ones that messed up initially but managed to turn things around.
Oh, there are definitely a few. Remember that makeup line from influencers?
Yeah.
That one got a ton of backlash when it first launched. People were saying it was way overpriced. But they actually listened, adjusted the prices,
Ah.
tweaked the formula based on the feedback, and now people rave about it. It just goes to show that it is possible to recover from a bad launch, as long as you're willing to put in the work.
Okay, that's a great example. So maybe there's hope for Lynchley yet. Though I gotta say, I'm still a little torn after all this. On the one hand, I like the idea of a healthier option for kids, but there's this part of me that's like, should I really be trusting a YouTuber with my family's nutrition?
And that's the thing about influencer culture, right?
Yeah.
It's messy. You've got this blend of business and personal branding. Throw in the court of public opinion, which can change its mind at the drop of the hat. It's a recipe for, well, maybe not disaster, but definitely some drama.
No shortage of that, that's for sure. Speaking of drama, you mentioned a mascot and an energy drink in your notes. Is that for real? Or is the internet just messing with us again? Because I have to say, the internet loves a good MrBeast meme. Okay, so the energy drink was a prank. MrBeast got me again.
Yeah, he definitely knows how to keep things interesting.
That's one way to put it. But the mascot, that's real, right?
Oh, yeah. They're introducing Crunchy the carrot.
Crunchy the carrot.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to admit, it's pretty catchy.
Definitely a smart marketing move.
It does make you think, though, would my kids eat healthier if their broccoli had a cape or something?
Right.
Like maybe a superhero origin story for every vegetable.
There's definitely something to be said for making healthy food fun for kids.
For sure.
Yeah.
But mascot aside, do you think all this is enough to actually save Lunchley's reputation? I mean, after all that negative press?
It's going to be tough, no doubt. But it's not impossible. We've seen it happen before. Think about that makeup line that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
They listened to the feedback they adapted, and they managed to turn things around. It takes time, transparency, and a genuine commitment to delivering on your promises.
Right.
Ultimately, consumers can tell if you're just trying to do damage control or if you actually care about making a good product.
Okay, so to wrap things up here, we've talked about the good, the bad, and the mascot of MrBeast's Lunchley.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say are the big takeaways here? Like, what does this whole saga tell us about influencer culture in general?
Well, first and foremost, I think it shows the power of having a huge online platform, but also the responsibility that comes with it. When you have millions of people, especially young people who look up to you, your actions have a real impact.
That's a good point.
And if you want to maintain that trust, you have to be transparent. It's an ongoing process.
Definitely not a one-time thing.
Exactly. And the other big takeaway for me is how blurry those lines are getting between entertainment marketing, personal branding, especially for younger generations who are growing up online. They're savvy, but they're also dealing with information overload.
Right.
It's more important than ever to be critical thinkers, to really look at those influencer endorsements with a critical eye.
Couldn't agree more. Well said. This deep dive has definitely given me a lot to think about. And on that note, we want to leave you with something to ponder as well. Does this whole MrBeast Lunchley situation make you more or less likely to trust influencer recommendations? And maybe even more importantly, why? Hit us up on social media and let us know your thoughts. We always love hearing from you. Until next time, happy snacking, everyone.